It seems as though hypochlorous acid sprays have gotten really popular in skincare. What exactly are they? What does hypochlorous acid do? And is it something that you need to incorporate into your skincare routine? Hypochlorous acid is something that our bodies naturally produce. The cells in our immune system that are tasked with attacking invaders like bacteria, fungi, viruses produce this in an effort to destroy them once they have engulfed them. Hypochlorous acid is a very weak acid that is formed when chlorine is added to water. It is used as a sanitizing ingredient in disinfectants, to treat pool water, and it's even used to treat drinking water. Because it has activity against a wide array of pathogens like viruses, bacteria, and fungi, it is definitely of interest as a topical antiseptic. So hypochlorous acid is something that has become very popular in dermatologic surgery. Hypochlorous acid also is anti-inflammatory, which is beneficial for the wound healing process, and importantly, it can help calm down and silence itch, which is very beneficial for the wound healing process. I don't know if you've ever gotten a cut, but once it starts healing, it can get really itchy, and it can be very difficult not to scratch. Scratching messes up the healing process, puts you at risk for scarring. Scratching also puts you at risk for skin infections as you transfer microbes from your nails into the skin. So things that can calm down itch are anti-inflammatory and antimicrobial. They are of interest in wound healing. Another advantage of hypochlorous acid in the wound healing scenario is that it can penetrate through what's called biofilms. If you aren't aware, one real major issue that can happen when we're trying to heal a wound is bacteria can set up shop and form what's called a biofilm. Basically, they're sort of there in a film, as the name implies, enmeshed in stuff that they make that makes it very difficult for your immune system to access them. Once they set up shop there, they're very difficult to treat, and they also are difficult for your immune system to get rid of, and all of that slows the healing process down. Hypochlorous acid actually can penetrate many of these biofilms. Not only is hypochlorous acid effective against Staphylococcus aureus, it's also effective against Pseudomonas aeruginosa, a bacteria that can complicate wound healing, and the yeast Candida albicans. Because it's beneficial in wound healing, for reasons I just explained, it is also of interest in terms of improving the final appearance of scars, okay, by virtue of its anti-inflammatory effects, as well as its beneficial effects on reducing bacterial colonization. All of that can also bode well for scar formation down the road. What else is hypochlorous acid good for? A little bit of research with regards to atopic dermatitis, commonly referred to as eczema. It is a chronic inflammatory skin condition where you get flares of itchy, oozy, weepy skin. People who have atopic dermatitis, they have this condition because they have an impaired skin barrier. Because they have an impaired skin barrier, they're predisposed to getting colonized with Staphylococcus bacteria, which further aggravates their atopic dermatitis. Because hypochlorous acid is antimicrobial, it has been shown to reduce the burden of these staph colonies on the skin of patients who have atopic dermatitis. It also has been shown to be particularly helpful for itch specifically. Scratching is very hard to resist, but once you start scratching, it's actually very maladaptive. It doesn't benefit you in any way other than to feel good in the short term. Scratching not only can introduce bacteria into your already impaired skin barrier, especially if you're flaring, but it also further aggravates your skin barrier and incites a lot of neuroinflammation, which further leads to more stubborn itch. Hypochlorous acid has anti-itch properties. It can reduce the activity of histamine, leukotriene, and interleukin-2. These are components of this neuroinflammatory cascade that really drive itch, especially for patients who have atopic dermatitis. So research suggests it may be helpful for people with eczema flares, although it is not an evidence-based treatment for eczema per se. Hypochlorous acid is also of interest in treatment of blepharitis, inflammation of the eyelids. It has been shown to be safe and effective for use around the eyelid. So you'll often encounter eyelid hygiene wipes with hypochlorous acid, or lid sprays and things of that sort aimed at calming down the inflammation, targeting the microbes that aggravate blepharitis, and maybe something that your ophthalmologist suggests to you. A lot of people anecdotally report that hypochlorous acid sprays have really helped their acne out a lot. And that makes sense. There's a mechanism there. Again, it's anti-inflammatory, it has antimicrobial properties, which may be beneficial for acne, and it's also very soothing. We've also come to learn that histamine plays a key role in the ultimate acne scarring process. So maybe by virtue of its effects on reducing the impacts of histamine on the skin, it may have a beneficial outcome in the long run for acne scarring. But do know there are no clinical trials on hypochlorous acid spray for acne scarring, and it is not like a go-to acne treatment. Let's go over some reasons why you may want to consider using a hypochlorous acid spray. Number one, you have eczema that is very itchy, you find yourself scratching a lot, you're dealing with flares. This is something that you may find helps calm down itch, cut down on the burden of bacteria on your skin that aggravates that itch, and may help, when used in conjunction with established atopic dermatitis treatments, may support reduction in symptoms. One thing about atopic dermatitis is it is often triggered by sweat. Sweat can actually contain some of those inflammatory compounds that drive itch and lead to scratching and flares of the eczema. I find that hypochlorous acid can be very useful in the situation where, say, you're out and about, or maybe you're at the gym, you're really sweaty and you find that you're starting to feel itchy. It can be very useful to spray hypochlorous acid on the skin, especially in areas where your eczema tends to flare up. It can be really helpful in soothing the skin and putting the brakes on that itch process. Now, because hypochlorous acid is antimicrobial, another benefit that you might encounter is, again, if you're out and about somewhere and you're really, really sweaty, well, the bacteria that live on your skin, they break down the sweat, and that leads to odor. Some deodorants work to cut down the burden of bacteria on the skin that break down sweat. So when you get really sweaty, if you spray a little hypochlorous acid in the skin folds or on your feet, you may find that it helps control body odor. It hasn't been proven to do that, but it makes sense. Similar to how I recommend using benzoyl peroxide wash under the arms in the shower as a deodorant, the hypochlorous acid is kind of like that same approach, but more of an on-the-go way of doing things. All right, so in addition to that, what else? Well, you may find hypochlorous acid spray, it plays a supporting role in controlling flares of acne, but do know it is not an established treatment, but a lot of people do report improvements when they use hypochlorous acid. Hypochlorous acid sprays can also be really useful if you get a cut or a scrape for cutting down on bacterial biofilm formation. While it's antimicrobial, it's not going to slow the healing process down. A lot of people will take hydrogen peroxide and put it on a cut. I do not recommend that because while it is antimicrobial, it destroys the cells that are trying to come in and clean up that wound and heal things, and it really will slow the healing process down. Hypochlorous acid spray, on the other hand, is much gentler for the cells and doesn't necessarily have that negative consequence and is established to better support the healing process. So it's a much better alternative to, say, reaching for hydrogen peroxide or, God forbid, rubbing alcohol. Don't put that in a cut. Hypochlorous acid spray can be great if you get a cut. I mean, it's useful for wound healing. Hypochlorous acid sprays are safe to use on children, teens, tweens. Do you need to incorporate this into your routine? No. If you don't have these issues that I pointed out before, I'm not convinced that hypochlorous acid spray is necessarily going to be beneficial to just have as part of your routine. Maybe handy to have some of it on hand if you get a cut, like something to have for the summer months. Does everybody need to be using hypochlorous acid spray as part of their daily skincare routine? No, I don't think so. So how you use it and how you incorporate it into your routine really depends on what it is you're using it for. So if you are using it maybe to help your acne, just spray a little bit on after cleansing your face in the morning to clean skin. Or consider just reapplying it on the go if you happen to find yourself sweaty. If you have atopic dermatitis, spray it just on the areas of the body where you get flares of the atopic dermatitis. How often should you use it? Well, you can use it 1 to 2 times a day as tolerated, but you really could reapply it as often as you like. One good thing about hypochlorous acid is that it's generally pretty easy to tolerate. Side effects include dryness and irritation, but that's pretty uncommon. Is there anything you should not use alongside hypochlorous acid in your skincare routine? Well, the way hypochlorous acid works against microbes, it is oxidizing. Because of that, a concern is that, well, it might actually interfere with the efficacy of certain ingredients such as vitamin C or retinol. So a lot of people will ask me, can I use hypochlorous acid spray with this product? Can I use hypochlorous acid spray with this product, that product, this product, that product? And the answer is, truthfully, we do not know, because there aren't studies looking at hypochlorous acid in conjunction with anything, really, and seeing how the hypochlorous acid impacts efficacy. So what I suggest is, if you are using it in your skincare routine, along with other things, to spray it on, let it dry down, absorb before you come in with other products. That may help reduce any potential negative consequences that it might have on stability of other ingredients. It's not something that I necessarily use in my everyday routine. I use it as needed in situations where I'm really hot and sweaty and want to control odor as well as itch. It can be very beneficial, but outside of wound healing, it's not the most research-backed ingredient for some of the other benefits that people obtain with it. So just know there are a lot of unknowns in that regard as far as what it can and cannot be used alongside, and how often to use it. I personally have experience using the Skin Smart antimicrobial spray. It's pretty cost effective, it works, and I've talked to other derms who aren't even on social media who use this spray in their offices, recommended to patients. So it's good. Then I've also used the prequel, I have it here, Universal Skin Solution Dermal Spray for face and body. This is another great option. I reviewed this entire brand as a side note, so if you're interested in anything from this brand, check out my review. But this is another great option. I know that Tower 28 one is also really popular. I've just never bought that or used it myself, so I can't speak to how it is, but hypochlorous acid sprays can be beneficial, and those are just two that I personally use. As someone with atopic dermatitis that gets aggravated by my sweat, and that makes me really itchy, I find hypochlorous acid sprays really beneficial for mostly my body. Truthfully, I don't really use them too often on my face. From time to time I do, but primarily on my body. All right, guys, that's what I wanted to chat with you about in today's video with regards to hypochlorous acid sprays. Let me know in the comments, is this something that you use? Have you found it to be beneficial, or is it just something that you're kind of curious about? If so, I hope this video was informative to you. If you guys like this one, give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and as always, don't forget, sunscreen and subscribe. I'll talk to you guys tomorrow. Bye.